So I'm putting my prepping back into overdrive, and if you were smart, you would put your prepping into overdrive also after what I'm going to tell you. Now, some of you may already know this, but a lot of people do not know this. But if you have been paying attention to news sources outside of the mainstream media, then you would know that we are only one strike away from a nationwide blackout, and there's a high likelihood that it's going to happen. And if a nationwide blackout happened, millions of people would die due to poor sanitation and starvation, the collapse of our medical system, and of course, the rioting and societal chaos that would ensue when people can't go to the grocery store or the gas station or feed themselves, etc. But today, not only are you going to learn how close we are to a nationwide blackout and the total chaos that would ensue, but you're also going to learn what you can do to prepare for it, so maybe you'll come out the other side halfway unscathed. Now again, some of you already know this information, but a lot of people do not. But one of the first things that I want to share with you is that our nationwide power grid is actually made up of 3 very large grids that are actually patched together. And here's the really scary facts. Bad actors would only have to take out only 9 major substations to cause the whole United States to be in a nationwide blackout, in an extended blackout. Also, both Russia and China, both countries, have our entire nation's grid already mapped out, so they know where they would have to hit to put us again in this nationwide blackout. And then to top that off, terrorists that have come into our country illegally, and also terrorists abroad, have been regularly talking about attacking our power grid so they can cause, again, a nationwide blackout. And then to keep going with these very concerning stats, there have already been dozens of coordinated attacks against our electrical grid, and most of these have barely even made the news. But even though that you are not seeing or hearing about these in the news, the FBI has admitted that these coordinated attacks against our electrical grid are probably actually a dry run for a larger attack that's planned in the near future, again, to cause this nationwide blackout across the whole United States. And then to top all of that off, it is widely known that China has made the vast majority of our major substations that our electrical grid relies upon. And it is believed that China has installed malware in those substations, so all they basically have to do is push a button to shut down our entire grid. Now I just want you to think about that long and hard. The fact that China would only have to push a button to take us out, and also the fact that terrorists would only have to hit 9 major substations, again, to bring widespread chaos and starvation to your neighborhood. Now, if and when our entire electrical grid gets taken out, the EMP Commission says that up to 90% of our population will die within 1 year's time. And then other people say that it would only be about 30% of our population that would die within that first year. But whether it's 90% or 30% of the population, that's still going to be millions of people that's going to die due to lack of sanitation, lack of food, the collapse of our medical system, and again, the chaos and the rioting and the looting that would take place after people can't feed themselves and go to the grocery store. Okay, now first let's talk about how you prepare for such a disaster like this so that you don't become one of the millions of people that die. Now first, in a nationwide blackout, you're obviously going to need to produce your own power. There's just going to be times where you are going to want to be able to power your flashlights, or keep your food from spoiling, or just have the ability to recharge your emergency radios or your ham radios. Now I have really fallen in love with this Opus brand Exodus 2400 power station, but most of us just call these solar generators. But this thing seriously kicks butt. When I first got this, it came at 65% charge, so almost halfway drained. So to run it all the way down, just kind of testing it out, I had a fan plugged into it, the television plugged into it, a lamp plugged into it, and also even an air purifier plugged into this thing all at once, and it took me 9 hours at 65%. With all of those things plugged into it, it took me 9 hours to run this thing down to 0. So again, this thing seriously kicks some butt. And then when I test this out on my refrigerator, my very old non-energy efficient refrigerator, this thing ran my refrigerator with regular use where we're going in and out of it. This thing ran my regular old refrigerator for 18 hours before I finally had to recharge it. Now, if this was a grid down situation, I would not leave my refrigerator plugged into this for 18 hours straight. I would plug my refrigerator into it for a couple of hours in the morning, and then a couple hours again in the afternoon, and then a couple hours probably before going to bed. But still, the fact that this ran my refrigerator for 18 hours straight, I thought was pretty freaking awesome. This thing is just an awesome 2400 watt power station. Now, most people don't even consider this next part for survival, and that is because so many people, if they have a power outage, they try to eat the food out of their fridge before it spoils. But with this Exodus 2400, not only do I have to not try to eat my food before it spoils, but I can also use this to run my refrigerator and my freezer so that I can preserve the food that I grow in my survival gardens to last me through the winter time. Now, Opus is doing a launch sale of this Exodus 2400, and during this launch sale, you can get this for more than 50% off. That's heck of a savings. And the normal price for this is almost $1,500, but during this launch sale, you can get it for $675 instead of the normal $1,500, and I believe that runs through May 8th through June 7th. And I will put a link and also a discount code down below so that you can save that several $100s. And in transparency, I am not making a dime if you buy one of these or not. I honestly think this is just kick butt and a good fit for the prepping community. And while Opus did give this to me to test out, if I actually thought this was junk, I would not be making this video to begin with. The company Opus knows that if I thought that this was junk after I received it, that I would be saying that it was junk on this video. Anyways, during a national blackout, or if I just lost power due to a storm, I would be using this to run my refrigerator so that I could preserve my food that I already have or that I grow. And you may have insulin or other medications that you need to keep cold. Also, I would use this to run my chest freezer, which it does, no problem. Plus, I would use this to recharge my flashlights and recharge my emergency and my ham radios because information is power. And I may even use it to run my microwave or my slow cooker just to have different ways of cooking. And if you rely on a CPAP machine, you'll want to keep that running. And when I can safely do so after a blackout, I would also run my lamp off of it just for some light. And heck, I even use these Opus solar generators to recharge the batteries for my cordless power tools here at my bug out cabin. And then on a hot and sticky summer night when you just can't sleep because it's just so darn hot, it'll run my fan for hours and hours. And of course, recharging electronics or just whatever you can play some games on, that would be nice too. Now, this Exodus 2400 should last me 10 years even if I use it on a daily basis. And Opus gives a 5-year warranty on this, so with a 5-year warranty, you know it's not junk, you know it's gonna last. Now, the Exodus 24 has 4 AC outlets, so you can plug in things like your TV and fans and stuff like that. It also has 4 USB-A outlets and 2 USB-C outlets, which is common for cell phones and stuff like that, plus 2 of these DD5521 outlets, and then also a cigarette lighter outlet. Now, it took me 1.5 hours to recharge this from completely empty back to 100% charge via plugging it into a wall outlet. And I don't even know how long it took me to recharge via solar panel because I hooked this up to 2 of these solar panels, and when I came back about 6 hours later, it was already back to 100% charged. Now, besides being able to produce your own power during a nationwide blackout, you are also going to want to have the ability to both obtain and purify your own water, because during a nationwide blackout, the water pumps and your water faucet probably will not be working. Now, I personally like one of these gravity-fed water filters like the Berkey. I have personally torture tested the Berkey using green algified lake water, and that took that green stinky water and turned it to crystal clear drinkable water that I did drink on camera. Next, obviously, you want to have food put back, and I personally like, and it should be showing on the screen just about now, but I personally like having a year's worth of food for me and my family. Now, if I was just starting to prep for the very first time myself, I would probably buy the majority of my long-term storage food from the LDS Family Home Storage. Through the LDS Family Home Storage, you can get obviously beans and rice and sugar and flour and wheat and pasta and even dehydrated fruit and vegetables. And I've done a video on the LDS before, so I'm not going to go too deep into the woods on this part here. But if you're interested in that, just search for that video about the LDS on my channel. Now, the next thing that you really want to learn how to do is how to grow your own food, and at least learn how to grow herbs if you don't have the ability to actually be able to grow vegetables. Just anything that you can do to add extra flavor and nutrients, and just something else that you can help to extend your long-term storage food that you have put back. And then again, if you grow your own food, you can use something like this so that you can store and preserve that food that you grow in your refrigerator or your freezer. And another thing that's going to kill a lot of people in a nationwide blackout is just lack of sanitation. So one of the things that I have put back is pure pool shock. You mix a little bit of this with water, and now you have made your own chlorine that not only can you use to disinfect water, but you can also use it to clean food prep surfaces, the plates and silverware that you eat off of, etc. And then another thing that you would have to be concerned with is, are you on any medications that you have to live? And if you are, I would seriously look at something like Jace Medical, where you can get a year's worth of your chronic medications up front. That way, if we do have a nationwide blackout and the pharmacies are down, you at least have a year's worth of your medication. And then of course, we can't forget good old safety and self-defense. So number one, if you live in a bad neighborhood now, I would seriously think long and hard about moving someplace better, someplace that won't be so dangerous as soon as the lights go out. And then if you are legally able to own a firearm where you live at, not only do you want to consider owning a firearm for self-defense, but also getting training with it. So this video was getting long, so I had to kind of cut it short. What else did I miss? What else can people do to prepare for a nationwide blackout? Comment down below with your suggestions so that we all can learn from each other. And during a nationwide blackout, a simple scratch can end up getting infected and leading to your death. Or a simple case of the flu can turn into pneumonia and again lead to your death. So to see a whole bunch of videos that shows you how to use the weeds around you to make medicines that can take care of those simple ailments, then click on the video that should be appearing on the screen just about now to learn what most other preppers don't know. Anyways, folks, this is enough internet for me today. I do actually got work I gotta do. But folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.